It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, getting boned, getting high, getting shook. Watch all your folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's easy to do one night stands. Try being a rock and roll man. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome to another installment of the 2005 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. We're here for round number 8 from Nashville Superspeedway. Bit of flat track concrete intermediate action for your 8th race of the season, and we're going to take you to trackside right away. As we take a look at your starting lineup here tonight, it's going to be Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, qualifying on the pole tonight, looking for a rebound after a slow start to the season, and another driver looking for some points to get this year underway is going to be Bobby Labonte in the number 18, starting to his outside. Third place is going to be Jimmy Johnson in the 48, fighting for that points lead with Kevin Harvick, another championship favorite early, in fourth position. Fifth goes to the 57 car, Scott Riggs, with a nice qualifying session, and Biffle to his outside in 6th. Casey Kane will be starting in 7th. That's your points leader in the 38 car, with Kurt Busch in the 01. Starting in 8th, 9th place goes to Jeff Burton with a nice qualifying from the 30 of Atwood to put his Realtree machine in 10th place. It will be Marlin in the 22 in, I believe that is going to be 11th place, and 12th goes to Hank Parker Jr. in the 4. 13th is Mayfield, 14th McMurray, and 15th is going to be the 5 of Ricky Hendricks, 16th the 23 of Wimmer. A couple of other drivers notable down the field, John Wood, Bristol winner, and Robbie Gordon, your last race winner in the 31 car, starting a long way down the order, looking just barely around the top 20. But we take you to the front of the grid. 102 laps tonight, and now for the most famous words in motorsports, here from Nashville for the Dr. Pepper 400.
Drivers, start your engines!
Engines are fired here from Nashville. Like I've said just now, 102 laps here tonight. A bit of a long, grueling event here on concrete. Going to be fun to see who comes out on top of this slog of a race tonight. Joining me in the booth tonight is going to be my buddy Nate. to give us some color commentary for tonight's race and make things a little easier for me so I don't have to spend the entire time talking. He can cover the load for me at least a little bit. So welcome him into the booth tonight for the first time this season. Heading through 3 and 4, pace car going to peel off in a moment here. Jeff Gordon, your 2003 Cup champion, to lead the field to the green flag this time. And pace car is going to peel off. 102 tonight, just over a mile, the lap length around this racetrack. And they head into the restart area. Flag are waving, green flag. We're underway here from Nashville.
Gordon with a solid jump in the inside. He will clear Bobby Labonte going into turn 1, but Jimmy Johnson looks to his inside as they are 3 deep behind.
Very briefly, 3 wide behind for third place as Labonte had a poor start on the outside. Jimmy Johnson looked to try and take the lead from Jeff Gordon, but could not make that move stick.
Jimmy right on the back bumper of his car owner, Jeff Gordon, who leads the opening lap of this race. It's Riggs looking to take third with points leader Kane heading into fourth, looking for more to the inside for third as the whole field stacks up behind the 2 leaders. And the leaders are starting to get away a little bit. At this track, it's really important to be able to get in a rhythm. You know, at the flatter banks, it's easy to get out of a rhythm and start falling backwards, but you know, you got to be patient on the throttle, get back into it in the center, and turn it back down to the bottom, and that's where these leaders are going to start to pull away.
Casey Kane tried to cover the bottom on the 99 of Jeff Burton for the 4th spot and very nearly got himself turned as those 2 Fords head side by side for the last spot in the top 5, while Mayfield trails behind them. The number one thing you think of at this racetrack, Nashville, a track that being side by side here costs you a lot of racetrack time. You can see that with the 2 leaders pulling away, though Jimmy Johnson looks to the inside and the 48's trying to get the race lead.
Gordon trying to hang strong on the outside, but he's not going to be able to stay there. Oh, maybe. No, he does get back to the quarter panel. But this time it looks like Jimmy Johnson will be clear.
Number 48 car to the race lead, winningest driver in the Cup Series since the start of 2002. He's got the top spot into turn number 1. A couple of Hendrick teammates trade the lead. It is Riggs still in third. Kane has pulled the crossover on Burton to try to get 4th back and does so without a fight as there are 5-6 cars under a blanket for the final pair of spots in the top 5 as
they're going to be 3
and
wide.
take it 3 wide into turn 3.
Yeah, Labonte very nearly got into Kane's quarter panel there. That would have been a big wreck.
Kane trying
But
to clear the both of them on the outside. Couldn't quite do it.
Kane trying to hold strong on the outside, had to get out of the gas and is going to lose multiple positions. Ricky Hendrick goes by now. Kurt Busch looking to the inside of Bobby Labonte.
Fourth rages on behind the top 3. It is still Johnson, Gordon, Riggs. Absolutely checking out zip codes in front of the field. 3 cars under a blanket for 4th, 5th, and 6th now, with more trailing behind as Stewart looks to the inside of his teammate Labonte. What a run by the 20 down the backstretch.
I believe that Scott Riggs is starting to reel in our leaders here. Great run for him so far.
Good opening stint for that 57 as he maintains the gap to the top 2. Kurt Busch has gotten clear in the 4th position and now has to move it. Like we said, being side by side costs you a lot of time at this racetrack, and that is showing early on in the running. Stewart clear for 5th. He's got Ricky Hendrick in the 5 behind him in the 6th position, while Labonte fights him for that spot behind the 20.
Labonte late lunge to the inside, but it might work. They're going to be side by side here down the front stretch.
Pretty much the entire field from the end of the top 5 back is still side by side as the chaotic racing in the midfield continues to reign supreme throughout the early 10 laps of this race.
Ricky Hendrick got it in the corner high there, arced it down to the bottom. Kenseth had to get out of the gas, and it cost him about 2 tenths.
Jeff Burton on the outside. outside. That's Brian Vickers in the 25 down low on Kane and Burton with pair of Fords. 3 wide with that GMAC Involved Energy Chevrolet as they enter turn 1, and he's going to get the both of them for that 9th spot. Mike Bliss also trailing in the 81 car, looking to maybe make a move on Kane, and does so down the backstretch. Dives in.
Mike Bliss drove it in super deep, not able to maintain that on the exit, but he may maintain here. He needs to try to make sure the 97 can't get to his outside.
Trying to stay with Kane, and does. That's Carl Edwards looking for that spot on Kane as the 38 continues to kind of trickle down the order on this slightly longer run, middle range run right now. Stewart looking for 4th place on the 01 of Kurt Busch. Lead still remains Jimmy Johnson out front after 11 laps completed here from Nashville.
Yeah, the 2 Hendrick cars have kind of checked out. Riggs not terribly far behind, but definitely not in striking distance anytime soon.
Nonetheless, a good run for the 57 team once again after their Busch program got a pair of top 10s in the race Saturday night. Meanwhile, it is Joe Gibbs powering through into the top 5 right now. It is Stewart that has made his way up into 4th place, and Labonte trails in 5th, got around the 01, but not safe from fire from that target dodge as the 01 dives it down low. Kenseth in the mix in the 17 as well, and Ricky Hendrick lurking even further back.
Tony Stewart's car looks really fast. I'm interested to see what it can do in clean air. As long as he's able to maintain that, I think at some point he could get up there and challenge those Hendrick cars.
Lot of laps left and a lot of time for Tony Stewart to cut down that 2 maybe 3-second gap to your race leaders. Meanwhile, the battle for the last spot in the top 5 between these 3 or 4 cars continues to rage on, though Kurt Busch puts a bit of a buffer between himself and 6th place Kenseth, with Stewart, probably got by him a few laps prior, up in front of him in his tire tracks. Has begun to spread out now as the entirety of the top 10 now remains single file. Casey Kane has limited the bleeding in that 38 car, fell down to 10th and hasn't fallen farther since. It was Carl Edwards that was right behind him, challenging for that 10th spot just a few laps prior, but holds him off for now. He's got teammate Greg Biffle in the 16 right behind. The drivers fighting for the last few spots in the top 15 as Burton and Newman duel for that 14th spot down the front stretch.
Yeah, Newman in that Penske Pontiac seems to be moving forward.
Always a late race challenger, that 12 team, maybe with a bit of a chance to make up some ground on this run, but not without pressure from Harvick and Burton as Burton looks to cross him over into 3 and does.
Newman appears to maintain on the top, although not for very long. Burton gonna get clear for, I believe, that is the 15th position.
14th for the 99, Newman falls down to 15th with Harvick in 16th, challenging for the top 15. Top 10 staying fairly calm right now, though. Gordon has been right about that half or less of a second directly behind the 48 for the last couple laps. At that time, had to get out of the gas off of turn 4, and Johnson pulls a huge margin down the front stretch that last lap.
Yeah, that was at least a few tenths there. Johnson's done a really good job of hitting his marks. You know, he sees the 24 in his mirror, but he's not panicking at all. He's trying to maintain the gap, although Gordon drives it in very deep, and he's going to get alongside the 48.
What a corner by Jeff Gordon. Spooked the 48 off the preferred line on the bottom and looking to make another lead change as the 200 boys head side by side into turn 1. And Jeff Gordon, without much of a further challenge, is going to retake that race lead, though Johnson sticks right back on his bumper down the backstretch and looks low again. The 2 Hendrick cars side by side into turn 3 this time. Johnson dives it in down on the bottom, hard on the brakes, and without even leading a lap, Gordon falls back to second, and Johnson's got him back.
Scott Riggs gained a lot that lap just because of the battling. You know, it's very easy to lose a lot of time when you're side by side at this racetrack. And Scott Riggs probably gained about a second there.
Couple of tenths from the 57 at the very least, looking like he was 2 or 3 tenths faster than the 48 that last lap. And probably a little more on the lap prior, thanks to the mistake out of Johnson that opened the door for Gordon.
Gordon remaining right there.
Putting the pressure on. Neither of these guys seeming to come out on top. Both cars are pretty much equal through this first run so far. We'll see if adjustments make any changes to that. Pit window probably opening in around 10 to 15 laps. Gordon got into the corner there. Looked like he might have lost the front end a little bit. Has to get out
In
of
a
the
race,
throttle, and Johnson pulls away a bit.
in a race like this where the field starts to get spread out, you got to look forward to green flag pit stops and how it's going to shake up this field. I'm not sure it'll do much with the leaders in terms of where they'll come out to the rest of the pack, but down in the midfield, there's definitely going to be quite a bit of jostling.
Nashville, not one of the most notoriously tough tracks to pit at, but that access road can play a little bit of a factor, and we've seen pit road collisions at this racetrack maybe once or twice before, so it will be a matter of staying clean and staying fast on your pit stop. Still Johnson over Gordon, the whole top 10 staying about the same, as it is Kenseth in the 17 car now that has entered the top 5 ahead of the 01 of Busch. As he holds on to 5th, Busch defends from Labonte for P6. It is 3 Gibbs cars in the top 10, as well as 3 Hendrick cars in the top 10 as well, with Hendrick in the 5 car running in 9th, but all 3 of the Gibbs cars in this top 10 and 1 in the top 5 in the form of Tony Stewart in the 20. Bliss with the run down the backstretch. Labonte still trying to pile on the pressure on Kurt Busch and complete this pass. Staying vigilant on the top, but unable to defend from the faster line, and Labonte has himself 6th place.
Labonte moves up a spot and is going to try to bring his teammate with him. Bliss looks to have a very good race car. He's moved quite a bit forward from where he started. Very, very good day for Mike Bliss so far.
A slow start is an understatement for the 81 team early in the season. Had a DNQ on the season without the owner's top 30 in the first 5 races, and has been desperately looking to recoup any semblance of composure this season. And his last couple races, that 81 has looked far more like his former Busch self in the previous 2 seasons in 2004 and 3, and has ran towards the top 10 pretty much every race over the past 4 or 5 events. A nice run and a nice look out of the 81 after a very poor start to the season.
Mike Bliss knows that he could potentially be driving for his job. So this is a very good showing here today to try to impress Joe Gibbs.
Get a little bit of a recoup after the opening section of the season. Meanwhile, Scott Riggs is finally under fire for 3rd. It is Tony Stewart, who is continuing to look like a formidable opponent on this racetrack as he slots into 3rd place and is going to take the Roush 17 and Kenseth with him into P4.
Yeah, Tony Stewart is extremely fast right now. Kenseth had to get out of the gas, and Stewart's going to pull about 6 or 7 tenths on him. Stewart now able to completely focus on those in front, but they're going to pit this time.
Both the Hendrick cars, 48 and 24, into the pits. It'll be Matt Kenseth to stay out and lead this lap. And let's see what happens in the pit lane here with Johnson and Gordon both electing for the earlier pit stop strategy. Just prior to lap 30, it would be 28 coming to 29 for the 2 race leaders as they pit. Tony Stewart in the 20 into his box, and Johnson and Gordon pitting in stalls. That will be 3 and 1 for Johnson and Gordon respectively. The 24 into his box. Johnson in as well. You can expect Johnson to try to get out first, and probably will. It's just a matter of how good Gordon's pit stop in the 24 is going to be here. Meanwhile, still on the racetrack is Kenseth. And a gaggle of cars coming in right now, and Kenseth will now dive into the pits 2 laps later. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. Stewart jumps the 24 car in the pit lane. A horrendous stop for the 24 team.
Yeah, that's not common for the 24 team to mess up that bad. Tony Stewart now able to pounce, and we were saying Tony Stewart has a very fast race car. If he could get up there, he could very well challenge for the lead and potentially the win. And Tony Stewart has his chance, but Jimmy Johnson is absolutely gone.
What a pit stop by the 48 crew to have such a massive lead. Mike Bliss with a great pit stop in the 81 car as well. Kenseth, not sure where the 17 car is. Now still in the pit lane. They had not left the pits yet. It's Kurt Busch following him out as well. Expecting Kenseth to probably be around the 5th to 8th place range, maybe a little further with staying out longer on the racetrack on the older tires.
Johnson by, Stewart by, Gordon by.
And
He looks to come out 4th.
For the 17 of Kenseth, a good pit stop for them, and with a little bit fresher stuff, we'll look to climb up the order a little further on the longer run. But
The Gibbs cars look to be the winners.
Definitely good stops for pretty much every single one of them. Labonte held ground, Stewart made up ground, and Bliss seems to have made up a spot or two as well. Maybe around where he was before, and that is dust on the racetrack. Probably a collision leaving the pits, but the track is still green. Let's see if we can get a look at that.
57 had a very, very bad pit stop. Scott Riggs slipped it back about 6 to 7 spots there.
It was Dale Jarrett. Ooh, got a little bit of help from Johnny Sauter in the 68 leaving the pits, and Sauter booted him for position leaving the pit lane.
We got a bump and run in the pits. Not common that you see that. Johnny Sauter in
For
39th.
39th place. Frustrating day for the 68. Guess he's taking it out on Dale Jarrett of all people. It is interesting to see that. But Jimmy Johnson, once again, out front. He's got Stewart trailing in P2. Gordon, Kenseth, and now Bobby Labonte round out your top 5 as Riggs is looking to fall back to the mean right now during this run. But still a good run for him. Should remain in the top 10 for plenty of laps to come down the line here tonight.
Scott Riggs continuing to move up ground, although not quite able to get under the 57 there, was very, very close. That would be for P7.
Pace that 81 car has got. He will be attempting to make that move in the near future. He's right on the back bumper down in the back stretch. Little bit of a look, but he's going to remain patient for the time being. Meanwhile, Busch trying to put some pressure on Labonte, who appeared to miss the corner a little bit there, but gets the drive off on the outside.
Tony Stewart might be gaining a little bit on Jimmy Johnson, but it's not enough to make a difference, at least at the moment.
I'll tell you what, that 20 car, that gap to the 48, not as big as it was when we started this run. That's for certain. And Johnson not really looking like he hit the bottom that time either.
Yeah, that 20 is bad fast. If he gets up front, I'm not sure anybody's going to be able to get by
Problems for
him
the
unless
eight
it's
car
on a
of Dale
restart.
Jr. Ooh, look out on the front stretch. That is going to be your first caution of the night. Dale Jr. down a motor and looking like he's going to be stopped on the front stretch here in just a moment. Caution flag will wave for the first time this evening. Dave Blaney had to dive onto the apron to miss the 8 car.
And this is going to be a lot of drivers' opportunity to make up some spots, because when this thing gets strung out, it's hard to move up from where you were.
Get a look at that 8 of Dale Jr. Yep, just looking like that's a big mechanical failure for him. Was running in the 18th position, actually 19th, as McMurray had just gotten past him the lap prior, and Dale Jr. had to get down onto the apron, and it was Dave Blaney on the bottom with the 22 of Sterling Marlin, and he just about missed that crash. Goodness gracious. Wow.
Can't get a whole lot closer than that. Great job by Dave Blaney.
Entered this race 15th in the standings here tonight, and a great piece of race preservation from the 77 team there, and he should come back in the 26th position behind the 1 of Mike Skinner. 25th, actually, thanks to the spot from Dale Jr., as Blaney narrowly avoids ending his race. Pit stops here under caution after a short 10-lap run following that pit cycle. We'll see if some of these guys decide to take 2 here or not. It could be a viable option after that short of a run, especially considering Kenseth, Busch, and others staying out a pair of extra laps. Only 8 laps on this set of tires, but the tires being so important at this racetrack, you can imagine that you'll at least get 2 out of most of the field here.
Definitely looking at Tony Stewart here to potentially get the lead. He had a very good stop last time.
2 tires for Edwards in the 97. And more, Kenseth, Skinner. 4 tires for the 25. And it will be a 4-tire stop for the 48 of Johnson. And you can imagine these guys, it is going to be fuel only, maybe? No, it is 2 tires for the 24 of Jeff Gordon, who is going to take the race lead on the alternate strategy. Ricky Hendrick, Carl Edwards, a couple of drivers on 2. Looking like Stewart probably took 4 tires there. An unsurprising move out of the 20 with the speed that he's shown. Carl Edwards moves up the order, seeing Mayfield jump up a little bit as well. So Jeff Gordon will have the race lead over Kenseth and Hendrick. Bit of a different top 3. These top 3 drivers, as well as 5th on 2 after that last pit stop. And like I said, Jeff Gordon will have the race lead.
Yeah, good call by the 5 team there. They were sort of slipping backwards there, so they need to try to get some track position here. Hopefully catch another caution in their sake. But we will see how crazy this restart gets. This is going to be a lot of people's opportunity to make some moves and move forward.
Plenty of ground yet to be made up. We'll see what happens on this restart. We'll take the intermission. Be right back here in the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. We are back from intermission here at Nashville. It is going to be Jeff Gordon leading the field, as we mentioned prior. Top 5 and top 10 for that matter. Matt Kenseth in 2nd. Ricky Hendrick in 3rd. The top 3 on 2 tires. Johnson, Edwards, Stewart, Labonte, Mayfield, Busch, and Bliss the top 10. With Edwards the last car in the top 5. 40 laps completed, coming to 41 laps completed. It'll be lap 42 on the race restart. Pace car peels off. Jeff Gordon to control this one, and we are back green here from Nashville. Hendrick already jumping up to the outside. A great restart by the 5, though not the line you'd think you'd want to take. He immediately slots back in, but Jimmy Johnson takes that opportunity to move low. And the 48's already into 3rd. Here's Tony Stewart for 5th on Carl Edwards down the backstretch.
The last thing Tony Stewart's going to want to do is to get stuck behind some of these guys. He needs to try to keep pace with Jimmy Johnson, as he will.
He's going to go side by side with the 48 down the front stretch.
Johnson with the better run on corner exit, but Stewart able to remain strong on the inside and get inside of Kenseth.
What a restart by the 20 of Tony Stewart. He moves up into 2nd place from 6th after just a lap and a half. Jeff Gordon holding the lead, but that 20 is looking mad quick right now off of turn 4.
Yeah, Gordon on the 2 tires there. It's going to be tough for him to hold on very long. Tires very important at a racetrack like this. As Johnson still trying to look there with Stewart. He's behind him now trying to watch his line as he dives to the inside now for the
Johnson
2nd spot.
No time trying to get back at the 20 of Stewart. They're going to be side by side for 2nd, and Johnson completes that move without too much more of a fight. But that opens the door for Stewart to maybe try to go back underneath him into turn 1. Nope, Johnson's going to protect the inside. But that's going to cause him to have to check up. That opens the door for Stewart to come back at him down the back stretches. Gordon loves this in his mirror. Here's Stewart back down low for second once more.
Yeah, this is exactly what Jeff Gordon wants to see, to eat up their tires and try to equalize the playing field with that 24 car.
Buy him some time on the longer run and also in the moment, but Stewart is going to retake that second position, and once now he's going to have to enter it shallow. A little bit of a slower corner. That opens the door for Johnson. Once again, the 48 down the backstretch into turn 3. He's going to go low, and they're going to go side by side again.
Big dive bomb by the 48 that time.
Stewart with a great run on corner exit is not going to make it easy for him, and Stewart powers around the outside to keep second place. But Johnson looks low again. Stewart tried to cut him off, didn't have the room for it. Still side by side for that second place as they head down the backstretch. Gordon from the lead pulling away.
Yeah, this is a fantastic battle here for second as it's pulling Kenseth and Edwards right up to him. Not exactly what either of these guys want to see. One of them's gotta try to get ahead here.
Stewart again with a good run on the corner exit, but Johnson remains there that time, and now he gets back low and has the spot. But Stewart once again coming back at him on corner exit. No, he had to get out of the gas in the dirty air. Johnson's got second made now.
As Edwards makes a deep dive into turn 3 for 4th place and is gonna remain on the inside. Very good corner there for Carl Edwards, as Bliss kind of thought about going to the middle there, thought better of it as he just pushes the 97 right along, and they both are gonna pass Matt Kenseth.
Edwards passes his teammate, takes Bliss with him. Bliss looking quick in the 81 right now. Not sure if the 81 was on 2 or 4. I believe it was 4 with his starting position. He looks low on the 97 of Edwards. Fact check that, actually. Four tires, yes, on the 81 of Bliss. And now it's Stewart for second again.
How about this for Mike Bliss? It's been a rough season for him so far, and he is having the best run of his season today and potentially has some winning speed if he can get some clean air.
Bliss would love to put everything behind him and get a statement victory tonight over the 3 best in the Coca-Cola Cup Series. It is 3 of the winningest drivers in series history since 2002, all leading this field. Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Gordon. That 24 has found some speed on the 2 tires. It took him a while to warm up. You saw both Kenseth and Edwards also on 2 tires, falling backwards on the initial start and falling behind the 20 and 48. But might have just been tire temperature. Those guys are really looking not too bad on this longer run right now. Can imagine it'll fall off a little more as the fuel run continues onwards. And how about Bliss into 3rd over Jimmy Johnson, your defending Cup champion?
Mike Bliss's car is extremely fast right now. He might be the only one that could challenge Jeff Gordon right now, but he's got to get to second, and we saw with Jimmy Johnson and Stewart earlier, very, very hard to truly get the move done. But Bliss has to get there first.
Johnson not making it easy for him either, putting the pressure on. A great block by Bliss to force him to back off. The Gordon's gap for the lead is shrinking as Stewart and Bliss, the 2 Gibbs teammates, are running him down. Big dive. Stewart misses turn 3, but it doesn't matter as he closes the gap a little more, and Bliss is right here to join the party.
This appears to be where the tire advantage is starting to show its colors, as Gordon has really backed up to these guys. Mike Bliss might be able to get by both of these guys here. Mike Bliss, very fast car right now, and who would have saw that coming before this race started?
5 cars under a blanket for the race lead. Stewart forced to drive it in and run the higher line in turn 3 once again with Bliss right on his bumper. Gordon, Stewart, Bliss, Johnson, Kenseth, all of these guys in the mix for these top spots right now. It is anyone's game with the speed we're seeing out of every single one of them.
Gordon doing a very good job right now of mirror driving. He knows he isn't as fast as those guys, so he's trying to back him up, make sure he takes their line away so he can remain in the clean air, because when you don't have the clean air, it's very, very difficult to go anywhere.
This racetrack is the number one valuable resource. Here's a run by Bliss on his teammate Stewart. Looking to the inside on his Cup champion teammate. It is Bliss versus all three of the previous Cup champions as Jimmy Johnson takes it up the middle 3 wide. What a move by the 48!
Absolutely beautiful move by Jimmy Johnson. I fully thought that was going to be a crash. But great job by all three of them to hold it straight and not wreck those race cars. Those were three very fast race cars. Don't get yourselves in trouble here. Jeff Gordon loving what he's seeing in his mirror.
I believe the 48 and 20 made contact in turn 3 as Johnson forced the issue, and Bliss gets past Stewart and holds off Johnson, the 81, in second, behind Jeff Gordon now.
Bliss had to get off of the gas there, but he closed up the gap in a hurry down there in the entry to turn 1. Mike Bliss is the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
No doubt about it. He's going to run high and try and get this corner exit on the 24, and does exactly that. Jeff Gordon, he thought he had been robbed of a win last week and blew a tire on the final caution. Lost the lead with just 3 laps to go. But that doesn't matter now. The 81 car looking for a statement win, and he's got the lead over the 24. All three of the previous Cup champions all fighting for that second spot as Stewart dives it in. Gordon throwing some blocks on Johnson as the 48 looks low for third now. Very nearly got into the back bumper and might be a little upset with that block.
And Stewart very lucky to get around that because Stewart has now closed back up to Mike Bliss. That had to get out of the gas there. Bliss going to pull a couple car links. How about that for Mike Bliss?
Not making it easy on Johnson as he's going to dive it back down on the older stuff down to the inside and try to get back past the 48. Johnson with the run off the corner. They're going to stay side by side. This is just costing those two time as the two Gibbs boys are pulling away with first and second.
As the Gibbs cars continue to start to pull away here as Kurt Busch now starting to get past Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson's out of his rhythm here. He got stuck behind the 24, and I think he's a little frustrated as Kurt Busch now edges out the 24 for third place and is going to clear him into turn 1.
Slips past the both of them. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart just made a pass on Mike Bliss for the lead going into turn 1. Had the run off of turn 4, and at this drive into the corner by Tony Stewart, and there's a reason he crowned himself a champion at this racetrack just a couple years ago, but Mike Bliss is proving himself right now. That 81's not backing down as he's going to go down low and try to retake the lead himself, and he does.
Pulls the same move that Stewart pulled on him a lap before.
What a corner by Mike Bliss. He pulls away from the 20 off of turn 2.
So I am so impressed with Mike Bliss right now. Unbelievable stuff. Haven't seen this speed out of him all season or really anywhere close.
His best finish, a 13th place last week at Twin Ring. Actually,
As Tony Stewart.
13th was at Bristol, 14th at Twin Ring last week. A couple of top 15s, his only 2 top 15s this season, back-to-back the last 2 weekends.
Tony Stewart's really good at getting out of 4 and closes up very quickly on the entry to turn 1. That's where he's going to be able to make his move. As Kurt Busch now in the clean air, trying to track these two down.
Tell you what, Bob, that 01 is fast.
Absolutely. I think he can challenge these guys.
Mike Bliss holding the gap to Tony Stewart. It has been one heck of a race for this race lead all night long. The 81 and 20 on top of it all right now with Kurt Busch in the Catbird seat in third, and closing up fast is that 01. Ganassi loving that as he is catching these two Gibbs leaders.
You would have to think the pit cycles are coming soon. We'll see how that shuffles everything. But the Gibbs pit crews have done a very good job today. I don't expect anything less.
The way Stewart was running off the wall there, I thought he was going to dive down that lap.
And he started to, but he couldn't quite get to the bumper there as Kurt Busch steadily gaining on these front two.
About 100, not even 3 thousandths. Oh, Stewart got real close to the back bumper of his teammate there. Just a couple thousandths faster than the race leader. Stewart faster than the both of them that last lap by about a 10. But Bliss, masterful defense, keeps the 20 behind. Stewart not going to push the issue after very nearly getting into his teammate off of turn 2 there.
Stewart looking inside. He's going to get there. Side by side for the race lead, entering lap 68.
Down low is Stewart, and he's going to dive it into turn 1 once more. That corner entry is looking real nice for him, but Mike Bliss is capitalizing on exit, although that time through had to lift after he thought he was going to maybe be able to get that crossover. And now the 81 car is going to pull into the pits, and this is the most important question. Right now, we have 35 coming to 34 to go. These guys pit on lap 28 to 30 on the first green run. What's the question with fuel?
It'll be close. You would think they'd have to pit one more time, although I'm not certain on that because of when the caution came out the last time. It was kind of in a weird spot to where people pitted anyways. So we don't know what the max fuel run is, but I would assume it'd be right around the number to the end.
It's going to be close. Jeff Gordon leaving his pit box. Going to love to be on 4 fresh tires after his car started to fade, not terribly so at the end of that run. Jimmy Johnson is going to stay out the longest out of any of these guys, and would expect him, nope, going to get... Oh my goodness! Very nearly got into the 40 car of Jamie McMurray coming into the pit lane there. That was one of the scariest moves I've seen so far this season.
That would have been a very big crash if they had made contact there. Jimmy Johnson, fearless move down onto the access road. Shockingly, no contact, but very, very close for the Lowe's 48.
And all of this traffic that Johnson's going to get held up in pitting late is going to cost him just a bit more and a bit more time. He pulls into his box for 4 fresh Goodyears. Also, Casey Kane been running around the edge of the top 10 the entire race. Joins him in the pits. Tony Stewart has cycled back into what should be the net race lead. How about Robbie Gordon? We talk about the 31 team having one of the best pit crews in this field. Where did he come from?
Yeah, I have no idea where he even was before this cycle. Robbie Gordon has now gotten himself
Looking back, he
into the conversation.
11th. Leaves the pits in front of both the 24, 17, and 48. That 31 car's up into 4th from 11th place. What a pit stop.
And now we'll see what that RCR car has in terms of speed. Robbie Gordon has had a quietly very good season, was able to win the last race. Robbie Gordon, one to watch right now, up to a 4th place after a fantastic pit stop by that RCR crew.
He is even looking for more on the 01 of Kurt Busch. Again, I tell you, that 31 crew, there is nobody better in this series at making quick pit stops than Robbie Gordon and his RCR crew. And once again, they've proven it. Shown up out of nowhere. That car had been 15th through 10th pretty much the entire race, and now out of nowhere has found themselves in the top 5 and with competitive pace to boot.
They qualified very deep in the field and now up in the top 5. Very, very impressive at a track like this where it's difficult to move forward a long ways, and they have done a masterful job keeping the nose clean and being able to capitalize on the pit stops to put themselves up in this position.
Robbie Gordon, last race winner at Twittering after the late race misfortune for the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Brian Vickers has also found himself a little bit further up the order, was also around the back end of the top 10, and now merges in 7th with about 34-35 to go. And I believe the last couple hitters were around 32. It is going to be really close to see if some of these guys can make it to the end. And Jimmy Johnson is the furthest up of those guys that hit late. Casey Kane was another one that was right at the end, and he is back in 12th position in the 38 car. Battle for 5th, Kenseth and Gordon side by side for the last spot in the top 5. inside the final 30 laps here. Bliss is still piling the pressure on Stewart as Robbie Gordon in the 31 car has moved into third, but Kurt Busch not giving up easy. Couple of aggressive hotheads for third place here. Kurt's going to try to cross him over down the backstretch and into turn 3, and without a further thought, the 01 holds on to his position.
And Robbie Gordon had to get out of the gas there. Kurt Busch gains about 3 car lengths there on the exit from where he was, and now Gordon going to fall into the clutches of Matt Kenseth, who is going to try to pounce and is up into the 4th position.
Stewart pulled a bit of a gap to Bliss over the last couple of laps. Gains a tenth or 2, maybe more. And it's really only them up front right now. Kurt Busch, Kenseth, and the rest of the top 5 have a long way to go to the top group. It is 3 seconds between second place Bliss and third place Busch, and almost 4. The leader, Tony Stewart, who is running away from Mike Bliss right now.
Yeah, Mike Bliss really fast on the longer runs, but on the short runs, I'm not sure that he has quite the pace of his teammate in the 20 car.
But it is going to be a full fuel run and then some to the end of this race, so you would hope that 81 car comes alive later in the run, and it's not just an adjustment on the 20 team's part that is running him away from his Gibbs teammate, but that 20 run the best laps they have all race. And when we were talking about Tony Stewart being quick, it was early in the run every single time. I think that 20 is a lot better on the short run than he is on the long run.
And we'll see when we get later in this fuel run if Mike Bliss is able to run him back down, or if he'll fall back into the clutches of the cars behind, which would not be what he would want to see. It's so hard to make ground when you're having to look in your mirror.
Mike Bliss is pretty lucky that the gap to Kurt Busch is so wide between him and that third place car, and the pack that sits behind him. Jimmy Johnson, after a bit of a slower pit stop, is starting to find his way back up the order and is looking to regain a running spot in the top 5 with his teammate Jeff Gordon.
And you have to wonder, Jimmy Johnson, part of that group that pitted later, can they make it?
That is the question. Again, it was Johnson and Kane who were in the pits latest of all, probably around 32 to go, 33 to go when they were in the pits, although the latest pitters on the first green run, the only green flag pit stop that we had gotten up to this point, were around 30 laps after the start of the race. So you can imagine that they would have to save a bit of fuel if they want to make it. And Jimmy Johnson is definitely not saving right now. That 48 car is flying up the order right now.
Either Jimmy knows that he can make it, or he knows that he can't, so he's trying to drive as fast as he can to try to lure other people onto pit road as well.
Tell you one car that is currently also with a bit of a margin to work with, Casey Kane again. Actually, he was with Jimmy Johnson in the exact same pit cycle. Has got a huge gap both in front and behind him to Ricky Hendrick in the 5. Might have a bit of a margin to work with, so we'll see if the 38 decides to go the other way with his fuel strategy. Harvick and Robbie Gordon were side by side briefly for the 7th spot. Meanwhile, Kenseth and Kurt Busch fight for 3rd, with Johnson catching the both of them in 5th place.
Quiet day for our points leader, Casey Kane. He's ran kind of in the front half of the teens for most of this race, and sitting, I think, 12th right now. Just a perfectly solid run for him. But Mike Bliss starting to fall further and further back as Stewart starting to catch a lapped car, it appears.
That is
Dale Jarrett.
Who had a bit of damage repair after the hit with the 68 car, got the rear end fixed up, and has really just been a tough outing with 88 and Dale Jarrett tonight. Foltz the next car up the road, and then Setzer in the 10 and Parker Jr. in the 4. But it's only really Dale Jarrett that looks like he will play any sort of factor at the moment, and it is only him. So Stewart hopefully will have an easy time to get around the 88. Bliss has fallen to 2 seconds behind Stewart after starting this run right on the back bumper. That 81 has been running 0.8s and 0.9s the last time through, which is some of the slowest laps on the racetrack right now. And you just have to think that maybe he's saving, you know? That's a very, very slow pace out of the 81, almost unnaturally so, especially given how quick they were. And you can imagine with how quick that team was that they wouldn't have wanted to make a whole lot of changes on that pit stop given how quick they were on both the fresh and the old stuff. So maybe that 81's playing some fuel strategy, and especially looked like he was slow on corner entry there with the 17. It's hard to say. Can't know the intentions of these guys without seeing the results at the very end, but Bliss, again, unnaturally slow right now.
And remember that the 81 was one of the first to come to pit road. So if he wants any chance to make it, he will have to save some fuel here, which could very well be what he's doing here.
Absolutely. So Bliss going to be running it a little slower. Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson were side by side for fourth. Johnson powers around the outside. Kurt Busch looked like he lost a bit of grip down on the bottom. That opens the door for Gordon to catch up and have a chance to try to retake a top 5 and running order position. And Matt Kenseth has passed the 81 of Mike Bliss for second. It's 3.2 from Stewart to Kenseth. All number 20. With not a whole lot of race left to run.
As Smoke is really in his own zip code at this point. He's checked out. The only chance that these guys are going to have are a late race yellow or some fuel strategy here at the end.
Fuel strategy indeed. Again, Bliss just not finding a lot of speed right now. Now Johnson looking for third. Though Bliss very nearly cleared him on the outside, and I believe he might be able to on the front stretch here. Yeah, that outside on turn 4 getting a little faster later in the run, it feels like. With all the people we've seen power around there so far in this specific run. And Bliss
Down in the 28s. Definitely saving, I would think.
pretty much everyone else tire wear enough to run 0.8s and 0.7s around now, though Kenseth, the fastest car in the top 10, aside from Biffle that last time through. Biffle looking very quick that last lap. These Roush cars coming alive late. Another 0.6, while Stewart finds himself running a 0.9. 3.19. The gap from the 20 to the 17, it would probably be too little too late, but Kenseth is flying right now, so the 17's got pace. Food for thought as this race winds down.
Yeah, Kenseth definitely flying through the pack right now, up into second. You just have to wonder, does he have enough laps? I would suspect not, unless we get some fuel strategy here. Very possible.
10 laps to go for the 20 car of Tony Stewart, coming to 9 this time by. Hasn't won a race since 2004, though one of the later races of the season, it was around 34. His last victory came at. Winless as of yet this season. Gibbs as a whole has found it a struggle bus so far this season. Both him and Labonte and Bliss, all with fantastic runs today, though. Probably Labonte looking like he's going to round this one outside of the top 10 despite a great run throughout the first 2/3 of this race. The laps continue to wind down, and the fight is for all the rest of the top 5 spots between Gordon, Johnson, Busch, Bliss, and more. Bliss tried to cut off the 01 of Kurt Busch for third there down the front stretch, couldn't cover him. Kurt got the nose down there, and the 01 clears him, and Gordon takes the opportunity to get past the 81 as well. Now Greg Biffle looking low to try and pass as well. Bliss, with that slower speed in this run, falling into the clutches of the entire rest of the top 10 now. After starting this run, looking like he had a chance to challenge Tony Stewart for the race win. Still 3.2 seconds between Kenseth and Stewart up front. This thing's looking all but sealed, but pit stops still a lingering question with not a lot of this race left. And Tony Stewart in the 20 was one of the earliest pitters of all of these guys in this top 10. So the question for him is the biggest of all. Can the 20 make it to the flag?
If he can, it's smooth sailing. He is gone. He's in his own zip code. But
28.50 that last time.
if he can't make it, there's a very good chance a lot of these
Jeff
others
Gordon
can as well. Gordon in the
29,
pits.
97 in the pits. Now we got a question.
They gotta
I'm
go.
thinking it's money stop time.
I think so.
It is just 5 laps to go here from Nashville as the 24 of Jeff Gordon has dove into the pits and been followed by a big section of the top 5. And sure enough, the 20 of Stewart is into the pits. Ken's is still into the pits as well. Kurt Busch will now stay on the racetrack in the 01 to inherit the race lead. Biffle in the 16 into second. Robbie Gordon third. Johnson in fourth. Brian Vickers now rounds out your current top 5.
Question is now, isn't how fast is your car, it's how fast is your gas man.
The most important point of the race, Kurt Busch remains on the racetrack. Greg Biffle in the 16 will dive it down pit road, as does the Hendrick 25 of Vickers. Ricky Hendrick, the 25's teammate, in. Ryan Newman in as well. Kyle Busch from a top 10 running position. Kane and Johnson, as we expected with 3 laps to go, stay out on the racetrack, but they're not the only ones. It's just a matter of if Kurt Busch and Robbie Gordon have enough to make it here. And the answer for the 01 car is no, as is the answer for the 31.
Johnson stays out though.
That is...
As some dirt and dust on the
I'm
racetrack.
gonna pause that and check that. Looking like someone probably got turned up here. Oh, it was Mike Bliss.
Mike Bliss.
Avoids collecting anyone else. But the 81
Man, that's-
car, man, that's not what you want to see.
That is unfortunate for the 18 team, or the 81 team. Very, very good day gone sour right at the very end. Very unfortunate.
It is 2 laps to go for Jimmy Johnson in the lead, and he's got championship rival Casey Kane. No, I believe the 38 went into the pit lane. Yes, he did.
He did.
And
So the
Johnson
question
stays
is-
out on the racetrack. Does the 48 car have enough fuel to make it to the end of this race? He will
Stewart
see
too
the
far
white
back
flag.
if he can't. Can Johnson make it? That's the big question. What a strategy though if they could. Could Chad Knaus work his magic once again?
Down the backstretch for the final time is Jimmy Johnson. And through 3 and 4, he is going to round. He already had 2 wins this season. How about a third one on fuel strategy? Jimmy Johnson takes home the win here from Nashville. Such an unexpected result. And second place is going to go to the 20 of Tony Stewart. Johnson laps the field, the only car to pull off that strategy. Wow.
What a masterclass by Chad Knaus and company. Unbelievable that they were able to stretch the fuel that far. As the 48 team will take it to victory lane for the 3rd time this season. The winningest driver since 2002 racks up another one.
18th victory since the beginning of that season. That is one way to win. We've seen that before from the 48 car, winning it on strategy. He takes home the checkered flag. Your winner here from Nashville, Tony Stewart, agonizingly close, will come home in second. Again, Johnson, literally the only car in the field to have made that strategy work, and he laps the field as a result. What a victory.
Jimmy Johnson looked like the car to beat early in the race. Kind of fell back once the Gibbs cars started to come alive. And
Look at that.
he's able to come out with the victory. Shocking win by the 48. Mike Bliss, after hitting the wall, was able to luck out a 15th place finish, but still unfortunate considering where they were.
I would love to check exactly what it was that happened with the 81 car. Looked like he was in the process of leaving the pit lane, was around where the 24 team was. Yes, he did. I believe it was Jeff Burton trying to get into the pits here. Oh, yeah.
Yes. He had emerged up and trying to get in front of Jeff Burton. Sorry. But
I wonder who that
Bert,
is.
but Jeff Burton trying to get down into the pits. Bliss coming out of the pits.
Tough
And
break.
they
He was
just
around the
merged together
24.
there.
He was right behind the 24 car. Probably would have finished well as a result, but loses a handful of spots as a result. Probably would have been at least a top 10 and comes up short. That's tough. But once again, Jimmy Johnson shocks the field with that strategy to win it here at Nashville. We'll catch you next time for round number 9 on the season. That'll be coming your way from Talladega. Some plate racing action next week. Always a good sight to see. On behalf of everybody here tonight, the staff, and my good friend Nate joining me in the booth tonight, I'm Caden Reif, and we will catch you next time. And as always, have a good one.
It's a long way to the